everyone. I'm Mona Lisa Joshi, the founder and director of Chrysanthemum Chronicles. You all know me. And this is the first live session that I'm doing on my Facebook timeline. And very special reason for that is that we are going to tell you a horror story today from the mouth of a very renowned writer. But before I introduce him to you, let me first read his brief intro. And you would be really excited to join today because it's really a tale of horror, something that will really spook you out, as the writer has told me. So I'll just give a short intro of his. His name is Nolan, and he's a Canadian-born writer now living in Mumbai, India, and he graduated Granton University's short story and fiction writing course and currently have, along with maintaining a blog website called The Wandering Hippie, 4 published works. The first, Memoirs of a Motorcycle Madman, is a collection of humorous travel logs recounting his many adventures riding a motorcycle through India. The second is a hard-hitting crime thriller novel, Blood and Brown Sugar, released by Lead Start Publishing House. And at the time of this submission, the novel was trending and has sold out its first run. So many other things about him, and the best part that he has also written for 2 of our anthologies. So I'm going to invite him over. Nolan. Hi, Lee. Welcome to
Hello.
the Horror Tales evening today.
Hello, Mona Lisa. Thank you very much for having me. I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, it's an honor. And this session is really more interesting to me because I'm going to put it on my YouTube channel, and I have planned to start a series of horror tales from the mouth of different writers who have some real ghost tales to tell. And you are the first of my guests, and I'm really honored.
I'm honored to be the first. I'm very excited about this. And as most of your initiatives, this looks to be very exciting, and I'm dying to see where it goes.
Really. I'm working on the graphic horror novel and planning to bring it out fast, because it has been really a long journey because so many books. So I know the writers are waiting anxiously, but let's see. Fingers crossed. So Lee, I think we should start with the story because our audience, they are waiting to listen from you.
Certainly.
Tell me, what was your experience?
Well, I want to preface this by saying it's absolutely true to the best of my recollection. Writers tend to embellish and they take artistic license at times when retelling a story. I know I'm guilty of it. Most of us are. But this will be true to my recollection completely. No added details, no sprinkling of macabre aura. This is actually what happened.
And this is one of your experiences or somebody else's?
Absolutely mine. Absolutely
wow.
mine.
Amazing.
So as you may or may not be aware, I grew up in Brampton, in Canada. Most of the people watching will probably know Brampton as the home of Russell Peters. That's where he was born. And I went to a very prestigious high school in Brampton called Central Peel. Mm-hmm. Central Peel was it was the largest. It had a school population of about 1,400 kids. Our football team won the championship, undefeated, several years running. The mayor of the city, his son attended Central Peel. It was quite a prestigious school. And I guess this would have been my 11th standard, I guess you call it in India.
Okay.
So in grade 11, I was part of what a group called Sound and Lighting.
Okay.
And effectively what we did was any productions that went on in the school, either the annual plays or the Christmas pageants, any concerts, any rock bands or any other bands that came, we would look after the light show and the theater and all that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Now our school had an auditorium, a proper auditorium, not like I know a lot of schools these days just sort of use the cafeteria and they put a stage up.
Yeah, exactly.
We had a proper auditorium, and it seated about 750 or 800 people. It was a massive old, I should mention that the school itself was built in the mid-60s.
Wow.
So it was an old and creepy school. So I started attending there in 1990. Oh, pardon me. I'm robbing myself. 1980, 1982, I suppose. So this would have taken taken place in the mid-'80s. So the school was old. Now, this sound and lighting crew that I belonged to, we were, we weren't Letterman. We were sort of, the lunatic fringe. And we used to use this auditorium as our personal hangout. Now, of course, we weren't allowed to do that, but we'd long since learned how to pick the lock on the rear door to the auditorium, and we went in and out of it as if we owned the place.
Okay.
Now, within this auditorium, if you could just sort of picture the last theater hall that you went to, and it's the same thing. It was a bowl shaped with the stage, the stage up the front, the full curtains, and a projection booth at the back, elevated for the spotlight and projectors and whatever sort of thing. There was also what we called the catwalk, or the cat. Okay. And what this was a series of suspended three-plank catwalks that swung above a false ceiling. Okay. And what this was used for was to adjust the lights at the front, the above lights to light the stage.
Okay.
So during performances, there'd always be one person that would be delegated to be up in the cat, we called it, up in the catwalks, in case there's any problem with any of the lighting during a performance. Now, the problem with the catwalks was, as I said, this was an old building, and they were free swinging. So they were 3 planks suspended on a wire frame and drilled into the concrete roof by rods, suspending rods. So they moved, they swayed, and they'd squeak when. Okay. Right? Okay. So, by way of a term, we'd call it squeaking the cat. So if you had to squeak the cat, that meant you had to go up and do some maintenance on the lights, the projection lights at the front of the house. Anyway, so in this setting, there was a group. Our group was, I believe there was about a dozen of us. Some of the seniors that sort of ran the whole group, and then the juniors coming in from the lower grades that were being taught how to do theater lighting and so forth.
Okay.
Now, for years, there was, at least as long as I attended, there was always a story that a young girl in the early 70s was killed during the hazing process. Now, I don't know if you do that in India, but in Canada, when we call them niners. So that's when you come up from sort of public school, from grade 8, when you come to grade 9 or into high school, there's a hazing process.
Okay.
And generally, it's nothing too serious. They'll get eggs. They'll smash eggs in your hair and then bring back the flour over you and chase you around and basically terrorize the young. So the urban legend was that this one girl had been killed accidentally during hazing, where they'd sort of held her head in the toilet in the washroom.
Oh my God! Okay.
And flexed it, which is. Sadly to say, I've experienced that. It's not the greatest thing in the world. Yeah. And she drowned. Now, this was never, as most urban legends, this was never proved or disproved. It just became truth through word of mouth. Yeah. Despite having said that, there were a lot of creepy instances that happened throughout the school. There was one particular hallway down in the tech area that as you walk through it, sometimes you feel a cold chill, things like that, but probably more theater of the mind than actual events. Yeah. Well, we got it in our heads that we were going to perform a seance. And keeping in mind now, we were a group of 15, 16, 17-year-olds. All right? Okay. So we decided that we were going to do a seance, and what better place to do it than in our auditorium, where we could be left alone, this big, creepy, old auditorium, where we could do it sort of out of public eye and give a real serious go at it. Okay. So obviously we had no idea what we were doing, and none of us were anywhere near qualified to conduct any sort of seance. Yeah. So the best thing we could do was to get a Ouija board, and we thought this would be. Okay,
my God, I was just thinking this is coming.
My father once told me, we never had one in the house as a child growing up, because my father told me, you shouldn't mess with those things. They're dangerous. And I'd never been a believer in any sort of paranormal or anything like that. And I'd laugh at him. I said, surely, Dad, you don't buy into that sort of thing. And he said, no, I don't. But I also am smart enough not to mess with things that I don't fully understand. And I don't fully understand that, so I don't want to play with it. Right?
Exactly.
Anyway, So we got this Ouija board, and there was 5 of us. As I recall, there's three boys and 2 girls.
Okay.
Now, we take this Ouija board with full intent of making contact with this girl, this spirit that was haunting her. It was just a lark. It was a teenage lark. None of us really thought we'd have any success.
Yeah.
So we break into the catwalk. It was after school on a Friday. And we break into the auditorium, maybe 4:30 in the afternoon, but inside it was dark. It was very dark. We just had what they call side of house lighting, which is the lights they use to warm the theater. When you come in, it's dim.
Yeah.
So we walked up to the projection booth, excuse me, and it was 2 sets of stairs to get up to the projection booth.
Okay.
And then just outside of the door of the projection booth, was a trap door into this false ceiling, into the catwalk.
Okay.
There was an iron ladder, a welded iron ladder, bolted to the wall.
Okay.
And this was the only access in and out of the cat. Right?
Okay.
Now, we used to keep it locked because obviously you didn't want people getting up there and falling into the ceiling. Right?
Yeah.
So there was a thick 1-inch chain that we used to run through the handle that was also welded on the trap door.
Okay.
Run it around the rungs of the ladder and lock it shut with a big padlock.
Okay.
Now, of course, we had a key to that because we were in and out of there all the time.
Yeah.
So the senior that was sort of heading the expedition, he had the key. He unlocked it, and I remember clearly because you had to go up 3 rungs of this ladder to unlock it. And I was standing at the bottom of the ladder, and he passed it down to me, and I just left it on a lump.
Okay.
In a lump beside the ladder with the lock on top of it, which was standard practice. It's where we always left.
Oh yeah.
So at the beginning of this catwalk, when you climbed up into the false ceiling, you had to duck walk when you were on these catwalks. It was only a space of maybe 4 feet.
Yeah.
So as you came up, it was a U shape, and we are talking a large auditorium. So run of the catwalk disappeared into the blackness. It was maybe I don't know in meters, but it might have been 100 or 150 feet long. So it was quite a long run to the front of the stage. Just at the top of the ladder was a square platform about 4 by 8, where if we were taking lights or other equipment up, we could pass it up to somebody up there. And it was like a staging area. Okay. So that's where we decided to do this, do this little seance.
And so you did it in the nighttime or what, daytime?
It was about 5 in the afternoon, but you couldn't tell. Because it was we were inside and it was dark, and of course up in the cat it's just the back side of lights, and it's a false ceiling. It's dark, dusty, damp, horrible. So the 5 of us climb up there, and one of the girls had brought candles. She was a little scared about the dark.
Okay.
So we had some duct tape, some packing tape.
Okay.
And these catwalks had handrails on them, so you could duck walk along.
Okay.
So at an interval of perhaps 2 meters, we taped the candles down one side of the cat.
Okay.
So it threw an eerie sort of glow throughout the top of this false ceiling.
Okay.
And we sat down on this platform. Again, none of us had any idea what to do. We were all vaguely aware of how a Ouija board operated. And the senior said, I won't participate. I'll just sort of oversee everything. So the 4 of you can do this with the Ouija board.
Okay.
So we all kind of sat cross-legged, and we propped the Ouija board up on a box. We're all set to go. And he said, just before we begin, I want to read something, and I'd appreciate it if none of you would speak until I'm finished.
Sure.
So we said, fine. And I can't recite it for you, but I certainly remember the first 2 words. It was Ru Rataf.
Okay.
And he went on and he recited this, and it sounded like a foreign language. It was completely unintelligible. And when he was finished, he said, all right, now we can start. I came to know later that what he'd done is recited the Lord's Prayer backwards.
Okay.
I don't know much about demonology or Satan worship, but apparently this is not a good thing to do.
Yeah.
But he went right ahead and did it anyway, unbeknownst to us. So we begin this seance. Now at the beginning, we were all sort of giggles and not doing things properly.
Yeah.
But eventually the nerves left us, and we calmed down a little bit. And he asked if the standard, question.
Hmm.
If there's anyone here, if there's any spirit among us, we would like to contact you. Yada, yada. Nothing happened. Calmed down a bit further. Everybody's getting a little dejected. And he repeated the question. Suddenly the little thing on the starts to move, right?
Oh. Wow.
It moves to yes.
Okay.
Now I'm still unconvinced myself. But the person who was leading it says, "Are you the girl that was murdered during the hazing?" Again, it goes to yes. And then he said, "Would you spell out your name?" And as it starts to spell letters, the person that was leading it mentions to one of the other boy that was participating, he said, "Take your fingers off the," I'm sorry, I don't know what it's called, the slider, whatever it was.
Pointer.
Take your fingers off it, the pointer.
Yeah.
Take your fingers off it. He goes, right? So he does, and it stops moving.
Yeah.
So the young man that was running the whole show he said, "I thought you were influencing it." He goes, "You're cheating. You know, I could see you were pushing it." And he's swearing up and down that he said, "No, I wasn't pushing it. I'm letting it flow." So they get into a bit of an argument. And while they're arguing, it got noticeably colder.
Okay. Wow.
And so yeah, I get chills now even thinking about it. I haven't retold this story in many years.
Okay.
And then the cat started to squeak.
My gosh.
Yeah. So as I said, we're 15, 16, 17 years of age. Already we're freaked out. We've had enough. We don't want to play anymore.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And God is my witness, Mona Lisa, the candles, starting from the farthest one away, started to go out.
My God. Oh God. Don't tell me.
By the time it got to the third one, we're leaving. We're out of there. Right?
Yeah. I'm having goosebumps. My God.
We scrambled. The girls were screaming. We're freaking out. I'm ashamed to say there was no chivalry involved. We're pushing people out of the way. Women, children first. Not today. Whatever it takes to get down that ladder. So the five of us scrambled down, and we ran down the two sets of stairs and all the way to the entrance of the theater, of the auditorium. Once we got to the entrance and we were sort of back in normal surroundings, we calmed down a little bit. And we said, we have to go back up and lock the trap door, or, you know, the teachers, the faculty are going to know that we've been in here.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going, right? Well, I'm not going. Well, I'm not going. So finally, two of us sort of manned up and said, all right, it was myself and the guy that was running it said, okay, we'll go.
Okay.
I've got to be honest with you, Mona Lisa, it took us about 15 minutes to climb back up those stairs, one step at a time, peering around.
Yeah.
When we finally got to the top of the stairs, it was as we'd left it. The catwalk was open. And again, hand on heart, the chain that we had left was in a perfect circle on the floor at the bottom of the ladder and locked shut.
My God.
Yeah. So we unlocked it quickly, closed the catwalk trapdoor, locked it up, got out of there, and didn't tell anybody about it for a
really?
good. Not until the next semester, at least. We didn't speak about it for a while. It was that terrifying.
That's really good that you didn't, because it's really creepy. Okay. Wow. But I've always seen these things, you know, through movies only. Ouija boards and seance and all. So I only have that much exposure, and I wouldn't ever try, and not even allow anybody to, because it really scares me. Although I was watching this video on YouTube, and there was an explanation also, because always there's something like scientific explanation to, you know, these kind of things. It depends only on us that how we want to take it. So they were saying that when the pointer moves, it mostly happens is that the people that they are sitting in a group, there's a psychology that works in a group manner, that automatically, you know, subconsciously their hands are moving, and you know, they start pretending inside that if like there's a ghost or something, even if it's not there, but you know, their mind starts working in such a manner, and it happens in a whole bunch of people. So this is how it reacts. So I don't know how much truth is in it or how much truth in these paranormal things. I mean, I've never done these kind of stuff, but I would stay far. But I don't know which thing to go with. Like if you go with science, then there's always an explanation. If you go by experience, if like you have felt it, you have gone through it, so it's really something to mull over and
I've
all.
not used one. I've not used one since, and I will never use one again. I can
Yeah,
promise you.
absolutely. You shouldn't. So that's really something scary. And you are also yourself a horror genre writer. So after this experience, did this thing ever occur to you that you should write horror thing, and then these things come back to you, like inside your mind, not like in a literal sense? So did this thing ever scare you?
I was, even as a child, I always enjoyed. I loved the spooky house at the carnival. I enjoyed Halloween is by far my favorite festival of the year.
Okay.
But I didn't ever really connect them. I started writing seriously much later in life, and I guess it's just my sense of the macabre that drew me that way. I don't think I was ever really spurred into writing horror specifically
Yeah.
from events from that event or just from my love of the darker side of things. It just sort of worked out that way.
Yeah. But honestly telling, even it took me a huge lot of courage to come to the horror genre. I myself was a very scaredy cat, I would call myself. I wouldn't ever, read a horror book or even a macabre stuff or anything. I would stay far. But somehow when I read one of the book and then I started watching some movies, I actually found it very interesting because it has a lot of scope in a way that you can express a lot, and also those jump scares they are good enough, and the suspense that builds up in between the climax and everything that you can create in a horror tale or stuff like that, macabre and all. So that's how I started gaining interest, and now I have to tell you that I find it very interesting. I mean, I watch a lot of horror movies and thriller.
Absolutely. I mean, I enjoy the genre because it's limitless. If you're writing a romance, then you're trapped within that genre, and there's only so many tropes that you can use. If you're writing a
Yeah.
sci-fi, if you're writing dystopian fantasy,
Yeah.
you're really limited. Horror and say drama are really wide open. You
Right.
can write a horror story in any setting, any time period, anywhere.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I really enjoy the freedom that it
It
allows.
gives. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So that was really a scary story, and I don't know I would be able to sleep in the night. But that's something very interesting to listen from you. I hope the audience would also enjoy, because this is also going to be on YouTube. So I'm going to give some special effects, sound effects later when I'm going to edit this video.
Oh, very good. Cackling witches work best for me.
Yeah,
I'm
I'll try to find.
horrified of witches.
Let's see if I'm able to find those. So Lee, it's really lovely to have you today and listen from you a horror tale, and that something, one of your own true experiences. Have you heard my story? I made a YouTube video.
I did. I
Okay.
watched it. Yes. Now is
That was
that
one
is
of
that in Noida? That location is that
no,
in Noida or in Delhi?
it's in. Have you heard of those places, Chanakyapuri and all those, Prime Minister House and all, Teen Murti Bhavan?
Ah, yes, yes.
It's, yeah, so it's inside that place only, Kushak Mahal. So we used to go there, play there, because we were like children and we did not know anything about these scary stuff or all. We heard stories, but who believed? Because we were like carefree, so everything. But that experience was something that really, stopped me from going there. But now I really want to visit there, and I would
Go
love
back.
to, yeah, make a vlog and something.
I'll go with you. I'll go with you.
Lovely, lovely. Because I have spent my childhood there, so I have my heart is there. I miss that place, so that's why. So it's lovely having you, Lee, and I would look forward to meet you again through some other event or in virtual event maybe, because we are going to bring out our horror anthology soon. So you have
Yes.
to be there when we release it.
Very excited about that.
Yeah. So the audience, they can all watch it later, whoever hasn't seen, and the YouTube upload will be done soon. So bye all, take care, and wait for some more horror tales. We are going to be bringing out more sessions of these real life ghost stories. Bye, Lee. Thank you for
Goodbye,
joining.
Mona. Thank you so much for having me.
Bye, everybody.